I always knew that I wasn't my parents' favorite child. They never told me, but they didn't need to. My brother Mason was the golden boy. He could do no wrong. Once, he broke a window playing baseball. But that was just boys being boys. I brought home straight A's, received a nod of recognition, and a reminder to clean my room. It hurt, but it taught me to keep quiet, keep my head down, and never seek support or recognition. I was in my 20s and had built a life hundreds of miles away from my family. After college, I moved to South Korea and worked in high tech, and it was only now, away from competition and passive-aggressive comments, that I finally felt like I could breathe. I met Rachel one day in Seoul. She was smart, funny, and straightforward. At least that's how she seemed to me. She understood me in a way no one in my family ever had. Rachel and I dated for 2 years before we got married. She listened to me, or so I thought. She knew my past. She knew my family. But most importantly, she knew Mason. I don't talk to him. I told her how he always took everything, how he lied and manipulated, how he was always a freeloader who never took responsibility for his actions because he knew our parents would take the blame. She listened to me and then assured me that she was nothing like them. I believed her. Rachel and I returned to the U.S. after almost 9 years abroad. I was offered a vice president position in Boston, and she said she was ready for a fresh start, too. We bought a cute little house and started talking about kids. I was proud of the life we had built together. Suddenly, I was where I was supposed to be, happy. Then Mason contacted me. That was many years ago. Recently, he contacted me on social media, saying we should reconnect, that he missed me, that family was too important to be apart. I didn't respond. A few days later, he wrote to Rachel. She showed me the message, and I said, "Don't respond." But she replied that she believed people could change. So, reluctantly, I went to have lunch with him. But Mason showed up the way he always did, trying too hard. Expensive watch, expensive shoes, fake charm. He insisted that he was clean now, working full-time, nervous, and hoping for a chance to redeem himself in the eyes of his only brother. I didn't believe him, but I didn't want to drag old grudges with me. Maybe Rachel was right. Maybe he had changed. In the weeks that followed, he started visiting us more often. At first, he only showed up for dinner, but then he started coming when I wasn't there. I began to notice little things. Rachel smiling at her phone and quickly turning it off when I entered the room. Mason sending her things I didn't even suspect they had discussed. I'm just being paranoid, I told myself. My anxiety is reopening old wounds. But my instincts wouldn't let me rest. One evening, I cautiously asked Rachel if something was going on between them. She became defensive and accused me of being controlling. "He's your brother," she snapped. "You said you wanted us to get closer, and now I'm an idiot for wanting to try." I apologized. I didn't want to argue. But something was wrong. I couldn't shake it. So I installed cameras, hidden, only in the common areas. I didn't expect to find anything. I didn't want anything. I just wanted and hoped that my uncertain theories were wrong. But I was wrong. 2 weeks later, while I was at work, I caught Mason entering my apartment. As soon as the door closed, he started kissing Rachel. They settled in my living room, then moved to the bedroom. I sat there, feeling as if my soul had evaporated from my body, motionless and silent, staring into nothingness. That night, I didn't even scream. I didn't throw things. I showed Rachel the video she had recorded. Her face turned pale. She didn't try to lie. Mason stood behind her with his arms crossed like he owned the place. "It just happened," Rachel added, her voice shaking. "We weren't ready to go that far yet." I looked at her suspiciously. "You're sleeping with my brother, in my house, and it just happened?" "I didn't plan it," she shouted. "I was lonely. You were so absorbed in your work, and he was there." Mason just shrugged. "I love her, man. We didn't mean to hurt you." I didn't answer. I went to my colleague and left. The next day, I filed for divorce. I wish I could say that was the end of the story, but it wasn't. Rachel and Mason moved in together a month after I left. I could have ended things with both of them for good, but Rachel said, "I'm pregnant." We had been trying to conceive for over a year. She told me it was my child, but it was his. She wasn't lying. A DNA test confirmed it. Now it was even worse. I was going to be a father, and the mother of my child was going to live with my brother. Then my parents got involved. Not to support me, of course. Selfishly, they told me I was the one who left. "Rachel didn't do anything wrong," my mother said, "but she's carrying your child. You have to be responsible." "Responsible?" I shouted. "For what? For raising a child in a house with a guy who cheated on me?" My father even had the nerve to tell me that I should forgive them because family is everything. In our house, that phrase always meant, Mason is everything. I cut off all ties with them, but they didn't stop. A month later, when my wife returned to her base on the other side of the country, I was handed a summons to transfer custody of my unborn child to my parents because I was unfit for mental reasons due to emotional instability. I was furious. I hired a lawyer and filed for full custody, citing Mason's affair, betrayal, and history of manipulation and financial fraud. I would have buried Mason in his lawyer's fees. I had enough dirt on him to do so. He laundered money through shell companies and hid his assets under Rachel's name. Our testimony in court not only refuted Rachel's testimony, but also led to Mason being charged with fraud. He is now in prison. Rachel Whitard tried to save her reputation by protesting, like everyone else, that the museum had not been deceived. No. But the court did not believe her. She lost her job, her home, and most of the people she relied on for support. I was granted full custody of our daughter, who was born 3 months later. Never in my life have I felt anything more bittersweet than when I first held our daughter in my arms. She was pure, untainted by the lies, betrayal, and war that surrounded her and came crashing down on her. I named her Grace for 2 reasons. Because she was the embodiment of grace, and because she was the only great and pure thing to come out of all this madness. Raising her on my own is no easy task. She's a strong girl. On nights like this, I doubt everything. But then she looks at me with her mother's eyes, with my steely determination, and I know I did the right thing. My parents never saw her. I didn't invite them. They sowed the seeds, now they reap the harvest. Mason is gone. Rachel is out of our lives. And tomorrow I will be free. Free not only from them, but from who I was before, when I wanted so badly to earn their approval. This is not a story of revenge. It is a story of renewal, of strength born of betrayal, of turning contempt into purpose, of realizing that sometimes the family you lose leads you to the family you were always meant to be a part of.